Hey guys, Tim with Kitchen and Craft here, and today we're making something very special, very cool, homemade tater tots. There's just a few things that I want to go over with you before we start the recipe. One, if you're a diehard vegetarian, this recipe is not for you. I use gelatin as one of my binders. Two, this is not my recipe. I didn't develop it. I was skimming through some of my old moleskins that I used back in the day and came across the recipe. I scribbled it down at some point. In order to credit the chef that developed it, I did some digging around. Turns out that it's Michele Richard's recipe from his cookbook Happy in the Kitchen, circa 2006. So pick up a coffee if you'd like. I'm not sure if it's still in print, but I'm going to leave the recipe in the description box below the video. 3, I use Wondra Flour in this recipe. It's in a little blue can. You can find it at just about any supermarket. It's instant flour, okay? It dissolves instantly in water. And since it's pre-cooked, it doesn't have a raw flavor. That's important because we're not cooking these tots that long, okay? So don't sub out all-purpose flour or some other type of raw flour for the Wondra. Go pick up the little blue can. You're probably wondering why I use this recipe. I think it's pretty cool because most other recipes call for pre-cooked potatoes, and that creates sort of a mushy interior to a tater tot. It's kind of like you're eating fried mashed potatoes. I don't like that. This recipe, we use raw potato, okay? When you cook it, you still get these identifiable pieces of potato in each tater tot, and I think that's a pretty cool texture. Oh, and the last thing I should mention is that if you didn't check out last week's video, make sure you do. It's on how to make homemade ketchup, so the tots recipe and the tomato ketchup recipe go really well together. Very intentional, okay? I'll leave a link up top toward the end of the video. That's it, guys. That's enough of my rambling. Let's get to the recipe. Hey guys, welcome to my homemade tater tot tutorial. Try saying that 5 times in a row. Anyways, the first step is to break out a scale and weigh 3 medium russet potatoes. That should give you about 2 pounds to work with. Next, peel your potatoes and then cut them into 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch dice. Now, they don't need to be perfectly cut for this recipe, but it might be a good idea to practice some knife skills. Now that your potatoes are clean and cut, we're gonna weigh them once more. You should have approximately 1.5 pounds, which is exactly what you'll need for this recipe. Now's a good time to preheat your oven to its lowest setting. Then break out your food processor. Yes, you will need a food processor for this recipe, or be prepared to spend a lot of time finely chopping your potatoes. Go ahead and add the potatoes to the bowl of your food processor, then add a cup of water. This technique is going to keep the potatoes off the bottom of the bowl where they would otherwise just puree. Pulse your food processor 4 or 5 times until your potato pieces are between 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch in size. And for everyone outside of the US, that would be 3 to 6 millimeters. Place your finely chopped potatoes in a strainer and rinse them under cold water. This step just removes any of the surface starch from your potatoes. Once the water that's draining runs clear, you're good to go. Now we need to remove as much excess water as possible. So to do this, lay out a kitchen towel and place your chopped potatoes in the center. Roll up the towel and twist it at both ends, then wring out those potatoes over your sink. The next step is to spread your potatoes out on a sheet pan from edge to edge in a very thin layer. Then pick out any of the larger pieces and coat your potatoes with 1 packet of gelatin. Place your potatoes in the oven for 4 or 5 minutes until that gelatin has melted. You can tell when this happens because your potatoes look nice and shiny. Once those potatoes are ready to go, place them in a mixing bowl, then add your Wondra Flour. Then mix everything really well to completely combine all of the ingredients. Place a 2.5 foot long piece of plastic film on your countertop. This is a good, manageable length for the next step. Place spoonfuls of the potato mixture down the plastic film, leaving about 4 to 5 inches on each end. The line of your potato mix should be about 1/2 inch to 1 inch in depth and about the same in height. So take a minute to touch it up if you need to. Lay the plastic film over the top of your potato mix and then roll it up like a Tootsie Roll. Twist each end to remove any air or gaps in the mix, then tie up each end nice and tight. When done, you should be left with 4 or 5 tight, compact cylinders of your potato mix. Place them in the freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes so they have a chance to firm up, then heat up your oil. Once your potato mix is firm to the touch, make an incision from end to end of each cylinder, then cut across to form 1-inch size tots. Remove the plastic film from each tater tot, then we're almost ready to fry. Once your oil has hit 325 degrees Fahrenheit, fry your tater tots in 4 to 6 batches and be careful, please do not burn yourself. You might need to stir the tater tots once or twice just to make sure they're not sticking in the pot. The total fry time is 3.5 to 4 minutes. They should be a beautiful golden brown when they're done. Once you've deep fried all of your tater tots, place them in a bowl and generously season them with some fine sea salt. I typically serve my tater tots on a small parchment-lined sheet pan. It makes for a super easy cleanup, but a medium-sized bowl will do just fine. And of course, you can't forget some of that delicious homemade ketchup. I've left a link to that recipe at the top right-hand side of this video. And now for the moment that some of you have all been waiting for. I'm actually going to try one of my dishes in front of the camera. This one is for you, John G.